I mean, I know A.J. Brown was the better route runner when we started, but after DK working with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, I feel like you can make the argument they're just as good at route running.
What's good, Guff? Grown-up fantasy football is back. It is James Reiner and Joey Marino, and we are missing Zach Maziarz today and tomorrow.
Sad news. He suffered a bad loss in fantasy this week, had a heart attack, and is now in the hospital. Thoughts and prayers go out to Zach. But
It's not looking good, but but hopefully he'll make a return on Thursday and Friday. But for today, though, it's just going to be us, and we've got a pretty fun episode today. So we have noticed that the Guff Gang has been very fond of our Fantasy Showdown videos. And with that being said, once again, we are entering the fantasy arena. And we are pitting two wide receivers who used to be college teammates against each other. And those two players are Mr. A.J. Brown and Mr. D.K. Metcalf. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good one. But hey, before we get into everything, be sure to, if you're enjoying this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. We could really use those subscriptions. Hopefully, if we get more subscriptions, it'll bring Zach back and heal his heart. But please go ahead and like and subscribe wherever we are on a podcast if you're listening, or if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we post a new episode, Tuesday through Friday. So without further ado, let's get into it.
let's go. Give us the facts, Joey. Give us the raw data.
All right, I will. All right, so starting with A.J. Brown. He is the wide receiver 30 on the season in most PPR formats. He's amassed 32 targets and 23 receptions, but has gained 332 yards and 4 touchdowns while getting 147 yards after the catch. He is averaging 2.5 fantasy points per target, which is pretty sick. Moving to DK Metcalf, he is the wide receiver 10 on the season in most formats. He has had 44 targets and catching 24 of them while gaining 519 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 124 yards after the catch. He is averaging 2.36 fantasy points per target. So, James, what do you think of either of these two guys?
So to start off, both these guys are pretty big receivers, both very physical guys. But DK Metcalf, I consider to be, if not the most physically gifted, the second most physically gifted behind Julio Jones at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
The man's 6'4", 229 pounds. He ran a 4.33 40 time. Compared to A.J. Brown, he's 6 feet tall, 226, and ran a 4.49 40 time. Those 4 inches in that 40 time, that makes a huge difference. I mean, when DK was coming out on the combine, the joke was when you make a 99 overall player in Madden. I mean, that's how much of a freak this guy is. There's just things DK can physically do that A.J. Brown can't do. So from a talent perspective, I'm liking DK more. I mean, I know A.J. Brown was the better route runner when we started, but after DK working with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, I feel like you can make the argument they're just as good at route running.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can just put him anywhere and he'll produce. Now, A.J. Brown did miss 2 games this season due to, I think, an ankle injury. that kept him out of a couple contests. And it was only 2 games, but it kind of felt like it was longer than 2 games. And a few other things that I've done in my research, Tennessee is averaging 256 passing yards per game. And Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback 10 on the season. He's projected from ESPN to throw 533 attempts and throw 39 touchdowns. That's a solid outing. And A.J. Brown's the number 1 wide receiver there. He's going to get the majority of that share. The only thing that kind of worries me with A.J. Brown is Derrick Henry. Because in the red zone, we saw it against Cincinnati, we saw it against Pittsburgh. They ran Derrick like 4 times in a row on red zone possessions. Now, it's not every time he's going to be running the ball, but I think Vrabel would prefer to run first in the end zone when you have a 260-pound running back.
Definitely.
So that kind of diminishes his value a little bit. Now, flip it up to DK. I think we all know Seattle is the number 1 passing offense. They're averaging 295 passing yards a game. Russ is QB1. He's projected to throw 549 attempts and 59 touchdowns, which is just stupid. He has the ability to take over a game. And I think the passing opportunity, obviously with the statistics that ESPN's projecting, it's obviously greater in Seattle. The thing that worries me about DK, though, is you've also got Tyler Lockett there, who can be just as dominant. I mean, he put up 53 points against Arizona. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
They both have the potential to break off just a long one and just take it to the house.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of the same points you just brought up in my notes. But I do like DK's opportunity just a little bit better because it is a pass-first offense. And Derrick Henry, like you said, it could just be the Derrick Henry show for one game.
Good.
The difference is, I think 5 catches for DK probably equals more fantasy points than 10 catches for A.J. Brown. I just feel like DK's big play ability, I think the opportunity is better with DK.
That's a lot. That's double the catches that A.J. Brown. He won't get more fantasy points.
Just my opinion. Could be completely wrong.
I don't know if I'd go 10. I'd probably say DK could have 5, and A.J. Brown would probably have like 8 or so. And that would probably be I think 9 or more catches, he'd probably have a little more points than DK. But, I mean, DK can get like 200 yards on 3 catches, which is insane, and score a couple touchdowns on the way. As a DK Metcalf owner, I think I'd have to side with DK on this one. He's just too good this year.
Yeah, for my verdict would be DK too. I think both guys will be great to finish out the season and finish strong. If I had to pick one, if I had to bet on one to have more points at the end of the year, I'm going DK.
Yeah, I am too. And it's funny because we did our wide receiver rankings for the year at the beginning of the season, who we thought would finish in the top 12. I don't think either one of us had DK in there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Let me see.
Is that that's Twitter, right?
Yep, it was on our Twitter. So if you want to find us on Twitter, that's @grownupff, and you can see us look like fools. We did not have any of the top wide receivers in there. Now, granted, injuries were a part of it too, because Michael Thomas was probably a top 5 receiver for all of us.
Yeah, you did not have DK in your top 10.
I didn't think so. Did you?
Trying to find mine.
Let's see.
Before you. I did not, but I had A.J. Brown at 10. Interesting.
Yeah, I think we were both pretty big on A.J. Brown this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if the injury didn't happen, he probably would be there right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We were I think if you asked us at the beginning of the season, we both would have said A.J. Brown will have the better year. But I think just based off of Russell Wilson's play, I don't think anyone expected him to play this good, MVP level, and it's helping DK and Lockett out going forward.
Mm-hmm. And neither one of us had Lockett in there either.
No.
Man. But
Well, would you take Lockett over AJ going for the rest of the season?
That's tricky.
Possibly another shootout. I think
It's tough.
I think I'm going AJ. I just feel like
Yeah.
he's a little more consistent.
I mean, I could see a case for both.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lockett, it's the same as DK, really. He could just break off a huge game for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still fairly consistent too. I mean, he's a top 10 guy.
Yeah, he is.
But
All
yeah.
good players.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think that's kind of going to do it. It's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I think, and if Zach was here, I think he'd say Metcalf.
I think he would too.
Yeah,
He'd make the right decision.
he's a smart guy. But yeah, you heard it here first. The verdict that we have come up with in the case of Brown versus Metcalf is we have all sided with DK Metcalf because that high-powered offense and his ability to just destroy yards after the catch. But be sure to like and subscribe down below. Go grow up and get guffed.